Hey everybody, it's Ron, and I want to tell you a story about business and how that story changed everything. Late October in St. Louis feels a little different when baseball's still being played. From the upper decks of Busch Stadium, you can see the Mississippi sliding past downtown and the arch rising right out behind center field. On nights like this, the entire place glows red. Cardinal fans have been living October baseball for generations. And there's an expectation in the building that doesn't really need to be said out loud. When the season reaches this point, St. Louis is supposed to win. Game 5 of the World Series has been tight all night. The kind of game where every pitch feels like it matters a little more than usual. Adam Wainwright works carefully through the Boston lineup, while Yadier Molina studies every hitter like a chess opponent, controlling the rhythm of the game one pitch at a time. But in the first inning, everything shifts. With 2 runners on base, David Ortiz steps into the box, and the entire stadium seems to lean forward at once. Wainwright delivers, Ortiz swings, and the ball jumps off the bat into right field, rattling into the corner as 2 runs score. Just like that, the energy changes. In a game like this one swing can be enough. The rest of the night settles into a grind. Pitchers trade outs, fielders handle every chance, and the Cardinals try to stay within reach. But when the final out settles into a glove, the scoreboard reads Red Sox 3, Cardinals 1. Boston now leads the World Series 3-2. Inside one clubhouse, the mood is confident but controlled. Inside the other, the realization comes quietly. The next game is not going to be played in St. Louis. It'll be played in Fenway Park. And Fenway isn't just another stadium. The angles are strange, the seats sit almost on top of the field, and one towering green wall turns routine play into something else entirely. By 2013, it's already more than a century old, a place that feels less like a building and more like a part of the game itself. But you know what? It didn't start that way. At the beginning, it was just a piece of land and a decision, a risky bet that building something permanent could change how a baseball team actually made money. So how did one baseball park become one of the most valuable assets in sports? Why build something meant to last when everyone else was still building things meant to be replaced? And what actually happened the first time the gates opened on April 20th, 1912? From Business Basics, I'm Ron Trucks, and this is Business History, the daily podcast where we explain the stories that changed business forever. Every date on the calendar has a story where business reshaped the world. Today, April 20th, that story takes us to 1912, when a ballpark became the business. In the early years of professional baseball, the idea of building a permanent stadium would have seemed unnecessary, probably even a little excessive. Most teams played in wooden parks that were designed to be functional, not enduring. And when those parks wore out or burned down, which happened more often than anyone wanted to admit, owners simply built another one nearby. Boston had already been through that cycle. The Boston Red Sox had joined the American League in 1901 and played at the Huntington Avenue grounds, a wooden ballpark that had done its job well enough, even hosting the first modern World Series in 1903. But as the decade moved forward, the sport itself was changing. Crowds were growing, interest was spreading, and owners were beginning to understand that a larger audience didn't just mean more excitement, it meant more revenue. A man by the name of John I. Taylor saw that shift pretty clearly. Boston, the city, was expanding outward as new transit lines made it easier for people to move around the city, and land that had once been dismissed as unusable was starting to look like maybe it was an opportunity. In the Fenway district, marshland along the Muddy River had been filled and reshaped, creating space where something new could be built. Most investors saw risk in that land, but Taylor? He saw maybe leverage. If the team built its own stadium, something solid instead of another wooden structure, it could control everything that happened inside. The gates, the crowds, the experience. The building itself wouldn't just house the business, it would become part of it. Construction began in 1911 at number 4 Jersey Street, and the site forced the architects to work within tight city blocks that shaped the park in some unusual ways. The field didn't stretch out evenly. It bent around the neighborhood, creating dimensions that were irregular, unpredictable, and eventually iconic. By the spring of 1912, the stadium was ready, and on April 20th, fans walked into something baseball hadn't really ever seen before.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
What they walked into didn't just look different, it felt different. Fenway Park rose from steel and concrete instead of wood, part of a new generation of ballparks built with the expectation that they would last. The tight layout, shaped by the surrounding streets, created a field that forced players and fans alike to adjust to something new, something that didn't quite behave like any other stadium. That afternoon, the Red Sox faced the New York Highlanders, and the game itself gave the new park a fitting beginning. Smokey Joe Wood battled through 11 innings before Boston finally pushed across the winning run, taking the opener 7-6 in a game that felt as unpredictable as the field it was being played on. But what mattered more than the final score was what people felt as they left the new stadium. The experience was bigger, more structured, more permanent, and that permanence carried business implications. Baseball was no longer just about the team on the field. It was about the environment around it. Larger crowds meant larger gate money, and when a team owned the building, those revenues stayed inside the organization instead of being tied to temporary facilities. Even the smallest details pointed in that direction. What began as simple concessions would eventually expand into a full marketplace, with food and drinks and experiences becoming part of the value of attending a game. Other owners were paying attention. Fenway Park wasn't just a ballpark anymore. It was now a model.
Day or night, VerboCare is here 24/7 to help make every part of your stay seamless. If anything comes up, or you simply need a little guidance, support is ready whenever you reach out. From the moment you book to the moment you head home, we're here to help things run smoothly. Because a great trip starts with the right support. And hey, a good playlist doesn't hurt either.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark, and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And over time, that model proved itself. Fenway Park became the setting for moments that defined generations of baseball fans. From Ted Williams launching towering home runs to Carl Yastrzemski carrying the team through the impossible dream season of 1967. The stadium itself evolved along the way. The Green Monster, the towering, impressive outfield wall, was rising higher and higher, and advertisements were becoming part of the visual identity of the game. While other teams moved into newer and more modern facilities, Fenway remained. Not because it was the newest option, but because it had become something more valuable than new. It had become identity. Fans didn't just go to see the Red Sox play. They went to see Fenway Park. It became a destination, something that added value to the team itself. Broadcasts highlighted it, and tourists traveled to experience it. The franchise grew in worth partly because of the place that it called home. What began as a risky construction project turned into one of the most recognizable and enduring assets in sports. And that shift, the moment a stadium stopped being a cost and became part of the business itself, began when the gates opened for the first time on April 20th, 1912. I'm Ron Trucks, and this is Business History, the podcast that finds the turning points behind the headlines. To hear more stories like this, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. And if you're enjoying the stories, don't forget to subscribe and please leave a quick review. It helps more people find the story behind the business. And if you want to actually understand business without the fluff or the buzzwords or the MBA language, start by visiting us at businessdailypodcast.com.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.